to catch up. But obviously all of the news today consumed by national media is what happened down in Virginia earlier this morning. Representative Steve Scalise, two Capitol Police officers, a staffer shot at while they were practicing baseball for the congressional softball game, a baseball game coming up, excuse me. And we have the opportunity to actually talk with the Rhode Islander who had been a staffer for Representative Scalise. So Spencer Sullivan, who's now currently the president of Lean Campaign Strategies, thank you for being able to Skype in today. As a former staffer for the representative, for the majority whip, let's just start with the reaction when you heard the news today of what happened.
A ton of emotions. It's one of those things where I can remember, this baseball game, these baseball practices happen year after year. It's a charity event that goes forward. So these early morning practices happen all the time. And it could have been one more morning, just a normal morning, 6 a.m. on a baseball field. And then unfortunately, something like this happens. Completely, you worry about other staffers, you worry about other members of Congress, other people in the park. There's a dog park right behind it, a ton of things. But what I keep going back to is because Congressman Steve Scalise was there, he's in leadership, right?
Yep.
And leadership has security detail.
Yeah, exactly.
And that security detail there, we could be talking about something far worse that could have happened today.
Well, one of the things we've actually been reaching out to folks here, what's the talk down there? There's certainly talk up here about security for officials. You raised the exact point that folks have been talking about. As Majority Whip, he had protection. Do you think we'll see more conversations about this, about the safety of members both in Congress and back at the state level, at the statewide level? Do you think we'll see more discussions about this now?
Absolutely. I think that part of these discussions were had after former Congressman Gifford's event happened back in 2011 about security detail. And I think coming down from Rhode Island into D.C., I was kind of shocked that a lot of these members of Congress don't have security detail. They walk around, they take Ubers, they fundraising events, whatever it may be. They're on their own, and for the most part, it works. It's safe. Unfortunately, especially in this political time, this political discourse that we're at, it becomes unsafe. It could start to become a question of, how many members of Congress actually do need security.
As I said, this is just, I'm sure we'll be hearing more about it moving forward, but wanted to let folks know, here about, you're a Bishop Hendricken alum, you're a Hawk. What was your path down to working in Representative Scalise's office?
Yeah, so I went down to D.C., went to school down in D.C., started to intern on the Hill, interned for Congressman Scalise, and was brought on full-time as a staffer. I was there for about 6 to 9 months, and then went out on the campaign trail. I interned in his office. He's a great guy. He's a very competitive guy, and I can, hope all is well, and definitely praying for him to get better. But if I know him, he definitely would want this game to happen tomorrow.
And, I'm sure you've been in touch with other, staff members. We know what it's like working on the Hill, sort of that camaraderie. You work long hours. And you mentioned that, he's a competitive guy. But when folks see these headlines and hear about him, what should folks know about him? Until now, most folks in Rhode Island might not even know he was the majority whip, never mind the representative from Louisiana. What should folks in Rhode Island know about the member?
Congressman Scalise is a father. He's a husband. He's got 2 kids. He's a very dedicated public servant. He comes into D.C., works hard, and gets back down to Louisiana. He's a great guy, competitive guy, cares about what he does. And I think we need to stop talking so much about Republicans and Democrats. It's more so everyone there believes that they want to do better for the country. They want to improve the lives of everyone in America, period.
Do you think this could serve as that almost unifying moment? Of these types of sporting events are oftentimes, in good fun. But you've seen sort of a lot of that talk, maybe even rhetoric today coming out. Are people rallying, do you see, around the fact that, okay, we're still one country?
Yeah, I think at times we tend to forget that with politics and the campaign world and all the rhetoric that goes back and forth. We forget that we're Americans first, and whether you agree with Republicans or you agree with Democrats, both of them want to do better for the country. We saw this kind of happen after the Gabby Gifford event, right? Former Congressman Gifford's event, which it was members of Congress during that State of the Union would sit with each other's party, right? So you may see the rhetoric toned down a little bit more about unity. I think today in the House floor, Nancy Pelosi would said, "You're not going to hear this often from me, but I'm agreeing with the Speaker Ryan's comments."
you rarely hear that down there. And as you said, we're all Americans. You're down in Virginia. You're from Rhode Island. Are you a Rhode Islander or a Virginian?
I've lived in Rhode Island for 18, 20 years. I've in and out of D.C., Virginia for 8 years now because of my career, but I always love getting back home. I always love getting back up north. I love the seasons, and, the politics of Rhode Island is always very interesting.
They are interesting. We are certainly heating up here for 18, both mayoral race in Providence, gubernatorial race. Now you're busy with lean campaign strategies. Talk with us before we let you go. What do you have on your plate down there?
Yeah, so I have clients from Texas, Virginia, Maryland, New Jersey. One of the nice things about Virginia and New Jersey is that they have off-year elections, so they have statewide elections in 2017 for gubernatorial races and state legislative races. And then right after 2017, you pivot towards 2018. So busy, but always nice, and just one of these days where you should take a step back and just be thankful for the process that we have.
Yeah, and working again, as you said, knowing that plenty of staffers, plenty of members have gone out, everywhere, and to have this happen. So, you talked a little bit about sort of the reaction down there to this and sort of the unity. Do you have a sense, is there any fear or is there sort of a resoluteness in the wake of this shooting and, moving forward? Again, here we are on Wednesday. I mean, how do you envision the rest of the week playing out in Congress after this happened?
It's tough. I mean, we're talking about something that happened just this morning. There's a lot of emotions going on, a lot of dust to be settled, questions to be answered. I would like to see that we come behind as a united country, as a united, resolute, having this charity game move forward. I mean, this charity event, I think, has raised over $600,000 already. Wow. And you have these members of Congress on both sides of the aisle practicing at 6 in the morning out on the baseball field to get ready for this. And it's a fun event. I mean, aides and you come to the event at the National Stadium, and it's just a good time to celebrate what's going on and raise money for a worthy cause.
And we've seen people respond to the event that happened today and talking about the rhetoric in the country and sort of maybe the vitriol from both sides, and to see this happen. Again, you said the focus is really going to be on the baseball game tomorrow night. But what do you see the discussions after that? Is it going to be on security? As we started talking at the beginning. Do you think more members will be getting security?
I think it's going to vary member by member and what they want. I think we should all be very, very not to score political points at this point. I think it's just about coming together, leaving the politics aside, making sure, the point of having this game tomorrow is if we don't, then, the individual who did this kind of won, right? We can't let that happen.
Yes.
So we're going to forward, be resolute, come together, and see where we go. I think as time goes on, it's only human nature to kind of forget the unity and get back to where we were, 6 months ago. But to keep in mind that, we're Republicans and Democrats, we have different ideas, different disagreements. But at the end of the day, we all want what is best for the country. Indeed,
and again, having been a former staffer for Representative Scalise, I appreciate being able to pick your brain about just what happened down there, your reaction. You know him on such a personal level. We appreciate getting the reaction and what you anticipate seeing happen down there. As we're up here in Rhode Island, in your home state. So, very much appreciate your being able to Skype in today. I know you're very busy down there, Spencer. So thank you for your time.